Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Deggy again, back with yet another Disney Lorcana card of the day. And today's card of the day, we're going to talk about Cerberus, three-headed dog. Now, Cerberus is a steel card. He costs 5 ink and he is inkable, which again means he can be placed into your inkwell. He has 5 strength, 6 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore. And he has no other abilities. He's completely vanilla. We received an image of Cerberus a while ago. It's been almost a month or so. But just recently, it was confirmed that he quests for 1 lore. So, what does this look like? What does this mean? Is he a good card? So, just looking at him, stat-wise, face value, the guy's a monster. No pun intended, right? He's just a force to be reckoned with. He is a target for removal, for bounce mechanics. If he comes down on the field, I am instantly looking at him because this card is going to one-shot like 90% of the cards we've seen so far. There are very, very few cards that can be challenged by Cerberus and survive. Not only that, but there's very less cards than that who can challenge into Cerberus, I don't know, I'm stumbling, but who can challenge into him and banish him. And I can only think of 2, and that's Dragon Form Maleficent, a 9 cost, and of course Simba, who's a 7 cost, who gets, 8 attack or something when he's challenging, so nothing surviving him. So when he comes down turn 5, he's gonna put in some work, right? He is going to be a menace. He definitely is a very, very strong card. Now, the problem is he does compete with Simba. And I know that's weird to say, but if you're kind of playing a steel deck and you're looking for like that one really big drop, you're probably going to mostly go for Simba. You can probably do both. Cerberus can be inked, so if you get him early or extra copies of him or whatever, go ahead and throw one into your inkwell. But it's possible that with deck space, for the steel side, I don't know why I'm saying amethyst. Well, it's probably because I see a lot of steel and amethyst together. But for the steel side, you might not want to play Cerberus. On top of that, we also have Beast, who's also a steel card, who also costs 5 resources. And he not only does he quest for 2 lore, but he can destroy an item when he's played. So it's one of those, what are the strengths of Cerberus over other cards, right? Now, we haven't seen any, like, say, Amethyst cards. The reason why I bring up Amethyst again is because Steel has been paired with Amethyst, and those 2 colors are working very well together. It's possible that we might see a really good 5-drop Amethyst card that maybe quests for 2, maybe even 3 lore like Moana, who knows? And that might put it above Cerberus because you do want to have cards in play that can get you to your win condition. There aren't a ton of cards in Amethyst and Steel that could say quest for 2 or more lore. It's not until later on in the game when you can get those type of characters, but that's like Simba and Mickey Mouse, Mouseketeer, who I guess would be another reason why maybe you don't want to play Cerberus, is because you're going to play Mickey Mouse, the Mouseketeer card instead. And if you have too many high drop cards, that means you're probably going to have less low drop cards. And what are you going to play in the early games or early turns of the game, I suppose? But I do have to point out that Cerberus is just an absolute monster. He is going to do probably very easy 3-for-1 trades. It is very difficult to challenge into Cerberus and remove him in one go. At the very, very minimum, he's taking 2 cards with him before he goes down. That actually is a pretty solid trade. That's really good. But his main strength, I believe, is in challenging. I think that is his thing. If he had 2 lore instead of just the 1, he would have been like Steel's version of Jumba Jacuba. Jumba can do either questing or challenging very, very well. And if he just goes out on quests, your opponent's going to be very hesitant in challenging him because he has 4 strength and 5 willpower. This Cerberus, with his 5 strength and 6 willpower, is something that you really don't want to challenge into. but sometimes you might have to get him off the field. I think he is a huge target for removal because of just how large he is stat-wise, but questing-wise, he's not that scary. But again, if you have a field of lower-costed characters, he's going to take out several of those before he goes down. So there might be some good strength in there for him as well. He's probably meant for more of an aggressive style deck, I believe. If you're playing him and maybe you're going to use him to protect your other characters, you know, maybe you're going to be playing Amethyst and you're going to be protecting your, or let's not say Amethyst, I bring up Amethyst, let's say Sapphire, because if you're going to play Sapphire and Steel, Sapphire has a lot of characters that can quest for 2 or more lore, especially very early in the game. You have, you know, 2-drop Aurora can quest for 2 lore, 3-drop Belle can quest for 2 lore, you got 3-drop Jasmine, 4-drop Maleficent. There's a lot of cards that can quest for, you know, 2 lore, and when they're questing, they're, you know, probably not going to be doing a lot of challenging. They're going to be used for your win condition. Well, for challenging, let's rely on our second color, which is going to be Steel, and we're going to have stuff like Bodyguard for Hercules, Cerberus for, you know, keen challenging, and you also have Fire the Cannons and Captain Hook to get back those Fire the Cannons. So overall, very good synergy between those 2 colors there. So in a deck like that, you know, maybe playing Cerberus isn't a terrible idea, especially if you're able to ramp into him a little sooner. You could play Detective Mickey on your 3rd turn and get an extra resource in play, and then on your 5th turn, you put a card down from your hand, and then you'll have 5 resources. Then you can play Cerberus, and now your opponent is they're not in a good spot. They can't quest because they're going to start losing characters. And then maybe then you can build up to your Simbas and, you know, what other cards you might have. So I think it's weird. I think he's a very good card, but I don't think he's necessarily for every deck. It probably depends on what you want to do. But I think when he comes down, it's very, very scary. So, you know, what would I give, you know, Cerberus? You know, I wish he quested for 2 lore. I think he'd be a lot better if he did quest for 2 lore. But since he only quests for like 1 lore, I am going to give him like a solid 6 out of 10. Is he for every deck? No. But he is definitely a monster. Again, no pun intended. When he is put into play. But he is a huge removal target. Now, if you are playing Sapphire and Sapphire and Steel, and you have an Aurora in play, Dreaming Guardian, who can protect Cerberus, well, now this guy's going to wreak some havoc, right? So I think it's pretty good. Again, I don't think it's for every deck. I think there's stuff that's a little better. You know, for 1 more resource, you could play Mickey Mouse, who's a 2/7 who can quest for 2 lore and has Bodyguard. And then at 7 resources, or only 2 more, you could play Simba. And that's only with the cards we have so far. However, I think if you are playing a really aggressive, fast deck, where maybe 5 resources is the top of your curve, then absolutely put this guy in. If you want to play something like Steel and Amethyst, where, you know, nothing costs more than 5 right now, like you have like Jafar's, you have your Captain Hooks, and then you also have the Cerberus at 5. Yeah, absolutely. I think he fits very well in there. But in a more ramp style deck, or something that, you know, aims to get other creatures out, you probably want to skip Cerberus, because at 5 resources, I probably want to play at least something that can quest for 2 lore, because 1 lore is just a little too slow at that point in the game. 2 lore is technically twice as fast, and that is how you win. So overall, a 6 out of 10, but definitely a little stronger in a more aggressive style deck. Maybe like a 7-ish out of 10 in like a Steel Amethyst deck, which we've seen right now. I haven't seen a ton of Cerberus, I will be honest. In all my play testing, I haven't seen him a lot, but he's very, very strong when he hits the field. Again, it's the whole, he only quests for 1, but it's kind of like the Olaf effect, where you can play Olaf and quest with them, and your opponent's like, I don't really want to mess with that Olaf, because that just seems like a waste of my resources. But when your opponent quests for Cerberus, you're like, I can't mess with him, but he only quests for 1. So I'm like, that's fine. You know, I'll let them do that. So, but yeah, a little bit of a rambling, but I'm all over the place. I have to see a bit more, but I think he's just an okay card that might get better in the future, but I think he's just okay. But hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You stay safe out there, make good decisions, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.